Hi there and welcome to lesson number 11 in the series of step-by-step pan-flute lessons. Behind me you can see some different kind of pan-flutes. Of course they are different sized, but also from different materials, and for instance some of them has lacquer on the surface and some are without. So in this lesson you will be hearing how I am taking care of my pan-flutes. Let me introduce you to my two oldest pan-flutes. My bass pan-flute and then my alto pan-flute, and they both are more than 25 years old. Originally this one has been as light colored as my contrabass pan-flute, but time has done its trick, and for the reason that I have played a lot this pan-flute, the material that is bamboo has gotten weak and also soft. So unfortunately, not like violins for instance, that they tend to get better and better year by year. No, pan-flutes have their own life cycle, and this pan-flute's life cycle is in the end, and this one is ready to go for a retirement. But luckily there is another pan-flute that is ready to take the lead. How is the weather in the country you're living in? That's a big question if your pan-flute is made of bamboo. As bamboo is reed, that's much more sensible than wood. If your pan-flute is made of, let's say, birch, pine, spruce, Christmas tree, then that's much more durable than bamboo. It doesn't crack so easily. It resists different weathers better. Then why don't we use and make all of our pan-flutes from, let's say, Christmas trees? Well, in my opinion, and also other many professional pan-flutists say that bamboo gives the pan-flute the most beautiful sound color. But I was asking you, where do you live in? And I'm living in Finland, and here we have 4 really different kind of seasons. And for instance, in the winter time, the humidity might be even less than 10%. And that makes even the wood crack. And I have to oil my pan-flutes about 2-3 times a year. In the summertime it's much more better. The humidity is good for pan-flute, and of course I have to watch for the sunlight, because as it gets the instrument hotter, we use inside beeswax for tuning, and they expand, and then the pan-flute is out of tune. But yeah, anyways, I will now show you how to oil the pan-flute. This pan-flute is quite dry, so I will show you with this one how to oil the instrument. I've always used paraffin oil because that doesn't have any impacts on the wooden instruments. There are some oils that might harden the wood, and then the beautiful sound color changes. I'm not saying that paraffin oil is the best or the only oil, but hey, you could, for instance, take a sip and your tummy feels nice. What kind of pan-flute do you use? With lacquer or without lacquer? If you're using with lacquer, then you should have some kind of swabs, cotton swabs in different sizes, or you can invent. For instance, I usually use some long thin sticks and then I add some cotton in the end and seal it with a string. Then just dip into the oil and go through all around the edges of each tube. Add some oil when you feel like it and go through all the pipes. When you have finished, put the panflute in a resting position, add some newspapers under it so that the extra oil drains out. And by the way, I never put my panflutes in this way. I always keep them in their bags, safely in the closet. But this might look nicer for the video. The other panflute with no lacquer. Well, you can do the same thing as with other panflute and put oil on the inner side of the tubes. But it's not obligatory because as this has no lacquer, the oil can be also absorbed from the surface. So you could use a cloth, some kind of suitable fabric, and dip into the oil and then all over the place put the oil. Or you could use, like I usually do, with your washed hand and just put all over the place. And we're ready. I talked earlier about cracks, how some pipes might crack. Well, this old fellow here has served me well. It has had about a dozen of different cracks or even more, and he really deserves a nice retirement. Some small cracks, bigger cracks, some huge cracks. But anyways, if you have some cracks in your panflute, it doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't working as well and sounding as good as before. But it might be wiser to fix them before they get bigger and deeper, because then it's harder to fix and might have some kind of impact in the sound. I have here a tiny panflute and you might see a big crack over here. But it doesn't have any kind of impact in the sound. But as I said, it's wiser to fix it up. So let's see how. All you need is glue, some universal glue that suits for paper and, for instance, wood. But remember not to use any kind of super glue. It must be a glue that when you apply, you can immediately take it off with water. So we shall now apply and try to aim into the crack a small amount of glue. It looks like this, and then with finger we shall rub and try to put the glue into the crack. And then we take some moist paper towel and we are going to swipe off the extra glue. And some of the glue will stay in the crack. And this is round 1. After this you just wait for 10 to 20 minutes and then repeat 2 to 4 times. And after that you have fixed your tube. The basics of tuning the panflute. Your panflute may have either some plugs, some stoppers, or beeswax. Usually beginners might have a panflute that is not made of bamboo and their panflute is made, for instance, from maple tree. And then you might have plugs in your panflute. I have one panflute, my contrabass panflute, that has plugs. So, holes in the bottom of the panflute, and each tube has their plugs. And you have to remove the plugs so that you can find the perfect pitch. And for that you have to have some kind of stick. So, if I just push from the bottom, the plug goes higher and so the pitch. And vice versa, if I push down the plug, then the pitch gets lower. You should have some kind of tuning device, a tuner. You can, for instance, buy with your phone an application. You can find cheap with a couple of dollars, and then you find the perfect pitch. Then these others are made and tuned with beeswax. Here you can't find any holes in the end, so your stick should be flat on the other side and sharp on the other side. You can also use, for instance, a drill bit, and that's also a good one to take off some beeswax. So, if I have to put my tube in a higher pitch, then I just add some beeswax and tap until it's nice and flat, the tube. If the tube is too high in pitch, then I will drill some of the beeswax and after that tap again. And then we have the perfect pitch. And this was the ABC of tuning. This is the end of the lesson 11. Thank you for watching. And now it's time for these babies to go back into their cases. Thank you for joining me. I wish you all the best with panflute and hope to see you in the future lessons. Bye bye.